Good morning and welcome to Monday Morning Live. It's great to have you with us.
Hi everyone, so it's the 15th of February. I can't believe that we are halfway through February already. January seemed to last forever, and then February is like flying by. But this week, Lent starts. So I thought today we could talk a little bit about Lent, and our theme for the week is an introduction to Lent. So we're going to chat a bit about what Ash Wednesday means, what we can expect on it, and also just our hopes and dreams for Lent in general. Okay, so like I said, theme for the week is an introduction to Lent because it starts this week, which feels like it's quite an early Lent this year. I think we've been earlier recently, but come around quick. I feel as though Christmas is just a couple of weeks ago. So Ash Wednesday this week, but it's going to be a little bit different. Sandy, I think you've been having a little look about the differences of this Ash Wednesday compared to ones that we normally have. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep, I'm not going to share too much because I don't want to steal what we're going to be saying later on in the week. But yeah, it's quite a simple difference this year actually. But actually one that surprised some people. I was talking to some people last week that it's quite normal the way we're doing Ash Wednesday this year. It's quite normal for many countries. So this year, obviously, contact is an issue. And a lot of our churches are doing so well with the whole social distancing and everything like that. But this year, instead of having the cross on your forehead, you're just simply going to get a bit of ash sprinkled on your head. Now, obviously, some people might not be able to make it to Mass and that sort of thing. But for those that are, it'll also be done at a slightly different time. Normally, during Ash Wednesday, we go up to the front twice. You go for communion and you go for your ashes. This year, for most parishes, again, it might differ in different parishes, but for most parishes, it'll be up once, 2 jobs done, and then out the door. But yeah, so it's a simple difference this year. But for many countries, they still have ashes just sprinkled on their forehead. And I do wonder if it's maybe a way forward, because a lot of people, they don't like this big cross on the forehead. And I know, especially when I worked in schools, you could see young people walking away going. However, we won't be able to play the game of who's got the best cross this year.
Yeah, I always like that image of the different types of crosses people get on Ash Wednesday. There's one called Father's Revenge, which is like a massive big one on your head. We won't be able to compare ashes this year, but thanks, Sandy, for explaining that, because it will be a little bit different. Our parish isn't actually having Mass at the moment, so we'll be commemorating Ash Wednesday from home here. You know, we'll watch a Mass on the TV, probably like we've been doing on Sundays, but we have actually put together an Ash Wednesday liturgy. So if you're not able to participate or you just want a bit more information, then we're going to be explaining all about Ash Wednesday this Wednesday live on YouTube. So before you go to Mass, after you come back from Mass, if you're watching it on the TV, you can find all about Ash Wednesday. But we're going to look now a little bit about what Lent is, because we've come up with a big Lent theme for this year that I want to get into a little bit with you. But let's learn what Lent is first. Okay, so obviously that video is a little bit old from a couple of years ago now because we've just chatted about the differences. But I think the general feeling is there that, you know, Lent is a time for prayer, fasting, and giving. And today we're going to chat a bit about all those things and how we're going to do them this year. But I have a little thought of the week to get us thinking about that. Okay, so our thought of the week this week is our theme for Lent this year. So I'm just going to read a little scripture passage for you. Okay, so this is from the Gospel of Mark. After Jesus' baptism, at once the Spirit sent Jesus out into the wilderness, and he was in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by Satan. So our Lent theme this year is Into the Wilderness, a survival guide. Tom, do you want to explain a little bit? Because we've been doing lots of thinking about what into the wilderness means. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here, but I'm bored of talking for a while. So do you want to explain a little bit about why we did this theme and what it can mean for this year?
Yeah, definitely. So this year, obviously, we've got Lent, and our theme is going into the wilderness. And I know Sandy's definitely been getting very excited about this theme because we've got some really good stuff coming. But we really wanted to do this because this year we want to sort of challenge ourselves and be a bit more ready and prepared to survive this, and sort of like how can we go about Lent? How can we prepare ourselves for Easter? And going out into the wilderness, you need sort of like a survival kit and a guide and everything. So that's sort of our little plan, is trying to give you some sort of stuff just to help give you that sort of survival kit, that survival resources, knowledge to get through Lent and to prepare ourselves for Easter and to prepare for Jesus, really.
Great, that was perfect. That was better than I could have put it, to be honest. So we want to give you the tools to survive this wilderness, because before we went live, we were just talking about how difficult this lockdown has been. And I know Lent is starting this week, but the last year in general, but especially since the start of this year, it feels a bit like a wilderness already, doesn't it? You know, like I was just saying how excited I was to go to a shop the other day because I've not been out anywhere for ages, and I went to the shop and that was exciting, and it just feel a bit like a wilderness. So this Lent is going to be a bit different to other ones before because we're already cutting back on a lot of things, and it's quite hard to then think about something else to give up and sacrificing lots of things. We don't want to make our lives more miserable than they need to be, even though sacrifice and penance is important, and we will be doing those things anyway. So we thought we would do a bit of a survival guide for Lent on how to get through it. And we're going to have loads of events and resources and things coming out. But I thought we could talk about what are our hopes for this Lent. So it's quite a long Lent this year. Well, it's always 40 days plus or minus, but you know, we're starting quite early and Easter seems quite a long way away. But what are our hopes for Lent this year?
I think for me, Sophie, I think what you said is perfect there. I think at the minute it's pretty tough, just life in general. And so you talk about the pray, fast, give. For me, actually, the praying and the fasting, as well as the giving, they all sit equally. But maybe this year, that it's maybe the giving and the praying for me that I'm going to concentrate on. I think at the minute there's a lot of fasting being done unintentionally. I might try and do it a bit better, physically fasting, but for me the sort of the giving out, giving away rather than the giving up, I think is more important this year. I think we've already given up hugs, and I think we're all feeling the lack of hug, and I think we're giving up family and we're feeling that as well. So I think for this year, praying and giving away is going to be more important for me, definitely.
Yeah, my go-to fast for Lent for the last sort of 10 years has always been to give up social media, but I don't think I'm going to do that this year, because without like being able to have a little look on Instagram about what my friends have been up to, I wouldn't have any contact with them. So I think maybe this year I might just be to like a bit more intentional with my time spent on social media, you know, maybe like cutting it back a little bit, but definitely still going to be, you know, like say maybe giving a bit more, having a bit more prayer structure in my life, because you know the lockdown days can blend into one if you don't structure in a bit of time with Jesus into there. So there's some little things we can think about. Tom, what are your hopes for Lent this year?
Yeah, I'm actually very similar to you, Sophie, because last year I gave up social media, and I mean that was really good. It was amazing. But I did overlook the YouTube because I mean that was sort of my. I'm not gonna lie, I might have been a bit too. I said that wasn't social media, but I mean it probably just classes it. So I think as you said, with it being just still sort of locked down and growing and everything, I might just be just leaving more time so I can not only have it for myself but also have it for prayer as well. So hopefully that will work. So being a bit more concise about my time on social media probably.
Yeah, it's a good one because we've got so much time at the moment.
Mm.
Definitely a time waster, but then also, what else are you meant to do with your time at the moment? There's so much of it indoors. Inevitably, we're going to waste some of it, but maybe just thinking about a few things that we can do to use our time a bit more intentionally, the causes that we want to give to, the people we want to reach out to, how we can structure a bit of prayer time in. They're all really good things to think about for this Lent. And of course, there's lots of things that you can engage in as well throughout Lent. Just because we're not leaving the house and doing the things we normally do, it doesn't mean that we can just let Lent pass us by. We've got loads of events and resources. There's other things going on, loads of apps and stuff out there to help you live a really purposeful Lent this year. And we'll hopefully be able to look at them a bit more over the next few weeks. Okay, Sandy, I know that you have a challenge for us every week, and I know that you're always really excited to give it to us. So we'll let you do that now.
Now, I've put the wrong music in. So we've currently got some plinky plonky music in the background. It was meant to be something quicker and upbeat, but it's actually going plinky plonky. Anyway, we'll keep it on for now. Right, pray, fast, give. 3 words, okay? Your challenge this morning is in the time that it takes me to read 20-ish, 16 facts about Lent, I need you each to find a symbol of pray, fast, give, okay? So you're allowed, you don't have to just stay there, you can go and find something, okay? Tom, I will give you points again for tenuous links because you did well last time we did this similar challenge. So you've got to find something for you that might be related to this Lent, it might not be related to this Lent, something that symbolises prayer, fast and give. And whilst you go, we're going to talk about some facts of Lent. So, you've got a minute. I'm going to see how many of these I can read in a minute. Do you think you can do this in a minute?
Yeah.
You can try.
Okay, good. Chuck amongst yourselves while I find the timer. Right, okay, we're ready. 1 minute, starting now. Okay, so, obviously we are in Lent. And Lent lasts for 40 days, okay? 40 is a really important number in the Bible, okay? Jesus spent 40 days in the desert. Noah had to wait 40 days in the ark. And Moses travelled through the wilderness for 40 years, okay? So 40 is actually a really, really important number in the Bible. Sundays aren't included. So technically, if you've given something up during Lent, you can have it on Sunday. If you want to go for hardcore Lent, you keep it good for Sundays as well, okay? Catholics started this tradition about 325, the year 325, okay? By the Council of Nicaea. If you want to Google that later, okay? Lent comes from the English word lente, sounds a bit like lentil, and also it's a Catholic tradition that says followers shouldn't eat meat during Lent, okay? That's the hardcore rule. But for us nowadays, it says more about not eating meat on a Friday. Besides not eating meat, we're also asked to abstain ourselves. So maybe from chocolate, TV, video games, or whatever else that is. Prayer is common practice. Obviously, we're talking about pray, fast, give. And it's something that we're encouraged to do during Lent. The colour purple is also really important during Lent. It represents nourishing Jesus during the dying moments of the cross. And it says that we should stay centred on that cross. Actually, Lent doesn't end at Easter. It ends on Holy Thursday, the day that Jesus celebrated the Last Supper. Good Friday is obviously when Jesus died on the cross, and Easter Sunday is when he rose from the grave. Okay, so actually Lent finishes on Monday, Thursday, not on Easter Sunday. It's also time for us to give to charity. Okay, pray, fast, give. Catholics give more than £250 million every year. I don't know where they found that statistics from, but that's quite impressive. And finally, in a study done in 2014, a bit out of date nowadays, 72% of adults knew what Lent was, and 88% of those participating in Lent were giving up something item of food for the whole 40 days. So most people, 88% of people, give up food at some point during Lent. And also, chocolate was the number one most given up food during Lent. We got through 13, I think. And the music just ended there. Oh, look at that. There you go. Right, so, Tom, pray.
Obviously, we work, we also make videos, and some of those videos are how to pray. For example, God Speaks. If you've not seen that, check that out. So I've got the work camera, one of the work cameras. This is my way of praying.
Okay, good. I'll give you that one. Well done. And also, I like the fact that there was a shameless plug in there. Well done.
It was.
Sophie, pray.
Mine's really obvious. Mine's a candle, because I think it doesn't take much to just sit and have like 5 minutes of prayer. You can just light a candle, sit, journal, listen to music, just chat to God. Doesn't have to be complicated.
Wonderful. Fast. Now, last time Tom did something with this, he ended up with a steak on his desk. Tom, fast.
Okay, so last night on my youth group, I was challenging them about what they can do this Lent, whether it's either giving something up or if they're going to do something. A lot of them said food, but after the videos, I challenged them to do a bit more. But one of the things, Doritos, so a lot of people pick food, so this was from last night.
It's clearly empty.
It's clearly an empty packet, yeah.
It is an empty packet, but some people give up food, so that was my idea.
And guess what we had for dinner last night, or part of our dinner? We had Doritos.
We had steak.
Oh, Sophie, fast.
I picked up a tin of soup because something that I saw online this morning actually that I thought was quite good was they're going to do like a soup dinner once a week, like a meatless soup dinner. So you're still like getting a nutritious meal, but it's like, thinking about what we're eating, why we're eating it, and just being a bit more intentional about our diet.
Wonderful. And finally, Tom, give.
It's probably my weirdest one.
I'm going for tenuous.
So, obviously, as you know, it was Valentine's yesterday, and I got given this lovely present. It is a Shrek little plushy toy. So that's my gift, because that was a gift to me. So, yeah.
It's traumatizing, that toy. It looks a bit creepy.
Is she trying to say something, Tom?
She just thought that looked like me, so
And Sophie, give for you.
I picked up a little note card. I don't think you can see it because the light's too bad. But basically, there's just a little note to say, and this was from my mother-in-law, and she sends us little notes every couple of weeks in the post. Nothing big, just saying I'm thinking of you and I'm praying for you. And I think that's something that I would like to do in Lent as well, as just start sending little things to friends that don't have to cost a lot, but just something nice to do.
I think for me, and the reason I did this morning, pray, fast, give. I love it. I think it makes Lent so much more easy to grasp, if you like. Pray, fast, give. It's simple. But I think for me, what I wanted to point out this morning was actually that everybody's different. And I think that's one thing. There's nothing worse than when you get somebody going, "Oh, you're only giving up that for Lent, are you?" We're all different, and we don't know what's happening at the minute behind closed doors. And I think we should just be grateful for what we can do this year, and really, really make an effort to make Lent a bit special. It's not just the normal wilderness, but we're going to survive the Lenten wilderness. So, are we moving on to Saint of the Week?
Yeah, go for it.
Here's Saint of the Week.
Okay, fantastic. So, this week I've decided to choose a really cool saint, Saint Francis of Assisi. We do have a little video. Hopefully, we'll be able to play that. So we'll watch that first, and then we'll come back and we'll have a bit of a chat about him.
Frankie was a boy from a large family. He was one of 7 children, and his mother and father owned a business that was very successful. He was a young man in a rich family and as he grew up, he lived a big, flashy life. But Frankie was also incredibly compassionate. His father owned a store, and one day his father had sent him out to sell some products. He was selling when a beggar came up asking for money. Frankie finished the deal and then left everything his father had sent him with and found that beggar. He emptied his pockets, giving the man everything he had, including the profit. His friends teased him, and his father was incredibly angry. When he went on a trip to the capital, he saw homeless and poor people begging, and since Frankie was a fairly strange kid, he just joined in with them. It changed his life. He decided from then on that he wanted to be poor too. Back home, he went to a little country church near town and had a vision to repair God's house. He thought, well, I can work on this little church, sure. He went and got some things from his father's store and sold them to make money for that little church. His father was angry. He and his father ended up in court, and in front of everyone, he said that he wanted nothing to do with his father and gave up his entire inheritance. In fact, he realized that it was his father that provided even the clothes on his back. So he took them off right there and gave them back. One day, Frankie heard a sermon based on Matthew 10:9, where Christ sends out the 12 disciples, telling them to take nothing with them, not even a staff or money. The sermon inspired Frankie, and he became devoted to being homeless and poor himself. Frankie's story is actually the story of a young man named Francesco, who was born in late 1181 or early 1182, and is known to us as Saint Francis of Assisi. It was not just a small country chapel that he would transform, but it was an entire global church.
Okay, cool. So that little video was obviously on St. Francis of Assisi, and the reason I picked him is because I think he's a pretty cool guy. The fact that he's chosen to go from a life, he's been in a life of just rich. He's lived a rich life, and his family have got loads of wealth and everything, and he sees the homeless, and and the way he responds to that is he gives everything away to go and help these homeless people, and I think that's so inspiring, especially in today's culture, because I feel like we all live to get money, to just complete stuff, go on a tick list and just tick everything off. Oh, I've got a car now, I've got a house, blah blah blah, and I can go do this, I can go on holiday, blah blah blah. But to actually think about these people who are sometimes often forgotten about in our society, and to physically give up that stuff is quite a big challenge. And now I'm not asking you to go and give up all your houses and everything and all of that, but I think especially in this time in Lent, where as we're going through pray, fast, give, to give ourselves a support to people all around us, because we're all going through our own different things, and we're all suffering, and we're all homelessness in some sort of area, whether that's we've got stuff taken away from us. So my reason for saying this is it's a time for giving as well. So how can we help other people? How can we give ourselves? How can we give the good news of Jesus? How can we give this to other people during this time? And I think Francis of Assisi is a prime example of how he dropped everything and followed Jesus. And he's still a prime example today. He's someone to look up to, and to think, how can I do that myself in my life? So Francis of Assisi, very cool guy. Think about how you can give yourself to someone this Lent.
And also a big inspiration to the current Pope as well.
Mm.
Are we ready for a bit of a hot topic then?
Yes.
Right, okay, so this week I wanted to focus on something, and there is a purpose behind this hot topic. But one of the things I'm trying to focus on as well is just what actually happens during the week, okay? And so this video that I found this week, I think is quite relevant to Lent. But when we come back, I will tell you why I think it's relevant to Lent. And I'm just currently ad-libbing because I can't find, there we go. Right, are you ready? So this video, there is a purpose.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
We're
a look.
trying to, can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that. I think if you click the up arrow next to this.
So I just think that one's brilliant, okay? Clearly, there's been loads of these videos that's happened, but that one went viral. I think the fact that the guy says, clearly I'm not a cat. Oh, really? The cat's talking on Zoom. I think it's brilliant, okay? But for me, one of the things I was thinking is like going filter free. Now that was the theme of National Youth Sunday, I think last year. Filter free. Any thoughts on the video, Sophie and Tom?
I just think it's really funny. So I was researching this one, right? And apparently the same cat filter has happened to loads of people. And it's not like a Zoom thing. It's like in the webcam settings from like when the computers were made. So it's not that like he's incompetent with conference calling. It's literally like a setting. So he would have had to go like into webcam settings while he was presenting live and like change it all. And I just like, that's the sort of thing that would like give me cold sweats at night, is thinking about something like that happening. Especially, it's all right for us because we can laugh now about it, but if you're defending somebody in court, oh my goodness, makes me shiver a bit, to be honest.
It made me chuckle at the fact that he was willing to continue. Let's just keep going. I'll be a cat. We'll be fine.
I wonder what the court case was that like he could continue as a cat.
And it was the way also you see the guy that was sat there and he was like, "Oh, what's this?" But yeah, I think for me, one of the things this Lent is being a bit of filter free. I think for me as well, one of the things throughout life is just be who you are. Don't try to be something you're not. And I think that's why we're so tempted by filters. That it's maybe something for during Lent is to go filter free. And it made me chuckle. So that was this week's hot topic. Are we moving on to Saints of the Week? No, we've done that.
We'll do some prayer now.
Oh, that one.
Okay, so I just want to read to you the scripture that we heard at Mass yesterday. We like to do this every week, so if you've been watching for a while, then you're expecting this. If not, we just like to have a look at the scripture that we heard on a Sunday and how that can influence us for the week ahead. So this week's scripture is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 1. A man with leprosy came to Jesus and begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus was indignant. He reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Immediately the leprosy left him and he was cleansed. Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning. "See that you don't tell this to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing, as a testimony to them." Instead, he went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed outside in lonely places. Yet the people still came to him from everywhere. Now, I know somebody that is more of a scripture scholar than me, could probably talk about the meaning of Jesus sending the man away, telling him not to say anything. And I know there is a whole meaning behind that if you've studied it, you know it. But what I want to focus on is the man who came to Jesus and asked him for healing. I want to concentrate on the beginning bit, because sometimes it can be hard for us and we want to hide everything from God, and we want to say, like, you know, sometimes it can be a really big barrier to prayer and be like, I can't pray because I'm not perfect. I have things that I don't want other people to know about. I'm gossip. Sometimes I tell white lies. Sometimes I'm not always nice. I get distracted, all those things. But really, like, God made us and he knows us and he loves us just as we are. So don't let imperfections be a barrier to prayer. But also, Jesus offers us healing. He said to the man, you know, of course I want to heal you. I'm not going to run away from you because you've got leprosy. He wants to heal him, and he reached out his hand to him. And I just wanted to think about, like, how easy a gesture it is to reach out our hand as well. You know, it doesn't take much just to reach out your hand to Jesus or to other people. And I know that lots of us feel in need of healing, whether for that's physical things, spiritual things, emotional things, mental things. There's lots going on at the moment, and just to reach out your hand to Jesus. And sometimes we don't see a miracle straight away like this man did. Sometimes, you know, we can pray for a long time, but we know that Jesus is holding our hand and reaching out to us. So I just wanted to read this prayer that I found online. And there's a line in it that I really liked as sort of like a personal theme for Lent, is a quiet mind and expectant heart. I thought that phrase was just really nice to think about for Lent. So we'll just finish with this prayer now. Merciful Jesus, you are my guide, the joy of my heart, the author of my hope and the object of my love. I come seeking refreshment and peace. Show me your mercy, relieve my fears and anxieties, and grant me a quiet mind and expectant heart, that by the assurance of your presence, I may learn to live in you, who is my Lord and God. Amen.
Well, that brings us to the end of another week and the start of Lent. It's just incredible. Like you said at the beginning, Sophie, it's hard to believe where time goes. It only feels like yesterday we were talking about Advent. And even considering we're locked down, it really is quite incredible. Right, so let's have a quick shameless plug. What's happening this week? Go.
Well, we've got our Ash Wednesday liturgy that'll be available on Wednesday. We've also got our first Advent resources available this week. If you've got a family or you just want to do some activities and prayer, that'll be available. Lots of things for Ash Wednesday. You can also catch up on all of our other YouTube things, Clergy Cafe, Sandy's been doing that. We've got Big Questions, we've got God Speaks, all of that coming up this week. We also have the collective to sign up for. I have one more, Sandy, sorry. Next month, we are going to have Sister Linda from the FDC Sisters. If you watch Bad Habits, Holy Orders on TV, then you will know Sister Linda. She's been on Good Morning Britain and everything, and she's going to come and chat to us about her life and also do a bit of question and answers. So that'll be on the collective next month if you're over the age of 18.
I also just want to point out that last week's Clergy Cafe is still available. It was absolutely brilliant, and it was with the FCJ sisters, Sister Anne, Marianne and Sister Lynn, and they're brilliant. We could talk all day, so feel free to nip back and watch that. And also, Tom, this week there's a response coming to the big question, isn't there?
There will be, and it's going to be very exciting.
Myself and Tom are going to get together and we're going to talk about some of the things that Father Owen says, because Father Owen says so much in such a short clip and video. So we're going to just try and pick some of it apart at some point this week. But to finish, we're going to finish off with Tom's funny video. Tom, do you want to tell us about this one?
So if I'm correct, it's a grandma who's trying to send a message to her daughter, I believe, and she's using the microphone button, and obviously as you speak, it dictates that and it puts that into a message, but she gets a tad bit confused and chaos unfolds. So there we go.
Trying the microphone, and I hope this comes out right, because, I should say a period, right? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Breathe deep. Okay. What does that say? Wait a minute. I'll read it. Okay. What is it? Say, wait a minute. I read it okay. Who read it okay? Is she answering me? Is she talking back to me?
No, that's you.
Is that me? What am I doing?
I do think it's brilliant. it just shows you. It just sums up the last few months, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've all struggled with technology.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, Tom, thanks for finishing that off for us. And it just finished to say thanks very much for joining us. Don't forget, we will be back next Monday at 9:30. And also Ash Wednesday live at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, this Ash Wednesday. Have a great week, and we shall see you soon.